And hello, everybody, and welcome to Two Guys Talking Sports. I'm Pat McDonald with Radigan Media. He is Tim Burney with the Sports Reports. Tim, we're here for episode 28, and we got a big one as we're going to be talking about the Troy Trojans bringing home the Northern Tier League's and Troy High School's first ever state championship.
What an incredible game, too. You know, I thought they should have been ahead a little more at halftime than they were, and then they gave up 2 touchdowns in the third quarter. I'm thinking, oh, they're done. And, boy, what heart and resilience, though, to come back in the fourth quarter.
I mean, that first half, they go up 12-3, and they were really dominating the line of scrimmage. Central Clarion, for some reason, tried to just run the ball.
Yeah, that one really surprised me.
Man, it was very windy down there. I had the call with Cody White on the radio there. It was awesome, fun time down there, but the wind was whipping, and maybe it scared their coach a little bit. Didn't want to throw too much. Obviously, Troy didn't throw a lot throughout the game. But, yeah, it was surprising they didn't try to, Ferguson threw for 50 touchdown passes during the regular season, and they didn't really throw the ball in the first half.
Yeah, and what's forgotten, too, a little bit is that Troy gave them the 3 points if they fumble the opening kickoff.
Yeah.
And that was a good sign, though, when they give the ball up that deep in their own territory, and then they hold them to a field goal.
Yeah, I mean, you look at it, we talked pregame about how big Troy's kick return game was, and I was impressed with Central Clarion's kick coverage because they not only kicked the ball, they kicked it right at Lincoln Kimmicks, who's a great kick returner, and they had him figured out a little bit, and it wasn't until they squibbed one late in the game where Troy finally got some good field position.
Yeah, they were on him before he got to the 20 most of the time.
So, yeah, the Trojans, they get the 25-24 win over Central Clarion to finish their undefeated season, first ever state championship for NTL football. I believe just the fourth or fifth team in District 4 to ever win a state title in football. I was looking at it before Troy's game. Southern Columbia's got 12 of the now 19, I think. Mount Carmel's got 4. I think Selinsgrove has the other one. So I think it's the 4th team total in District 4 to win a state title in football. But, yeah, let's talk about it. Troy comes out, like we said, Brendan Gilliland, a beast all year. MVP of that game, I think, for them. He, ran the ball right down their throats. They go down and score after the opening field goal, 4-yard run. The extra point fails. So it's going to come back later in the game, obviously, a big time kick there later. But, yeah, so it's 6-3. Then Woodward passed, one of the only, I think maybe his only completion of the day. Let me see. Yeah, 1 of 5. So only one completion. It was a touchdown pass
on fourth down
to Gilliland on 4th down. And then they go for 2. Don't get it. So it's 12-3.
And I heard Cody say to you, I know you don't like chasing points, and I don't either. I think they should have kicked the extra point.
Yeah.
Because that always comes, unless you get it, and then obviously you're a genius. But, the odds are 50-50. Just take the extra point. It's hindsight 2020, I know, but, I hate chasing points.
Yeah, I've been pulling my hair out this year with Nick Sirianni and the Eagles. He likes to chase points a lot. And then James Franklin last week in the Big Ten title game. So, yeah, same thing. Yeah, but, I mean, I get it. The wind was going crazy down there. Trying to make something happen. Doesn't help, but it's 12-3. That's the end of the scoring there in the first half.
Central Clarion didn't move the ball very well at all, but their last possession, if I remember correctly, they just ran out of time.
Yeah.
They were moving the ball for the first time really in the game.
Yeah, Ferguson with his leg.
Yeah.
They tried to pass, then he used his legs a little bit.
And then they came out in the second half, and they got those 2 scoring drives, and I thought Troy was in real trouble.
Yeah, Ferguson hits Rex both times. Ethan Rex, all-state receiver, I'm assuming, this year. 18-yard pass and a 48-yard pass. They miss one extra point, make the other with Ukert, the all-state kicker. So all of a sudden it's 16-12, and we were on the Troy side, and man, that place was packed, first of all. I don't think that the press box was shaking half the game, and it was really cool to see. I think most of Troy was there, some of Canton. And
windy, but beautiful day, right? Sun's out.
I mean, cold.
Yeah.
Luckily, I was inside, so I was happy with that. But, yeah, so then we went from feeling really good, 12-3 at half, and all of a sudden, with 4 minutes left in the third quarter, it's 16-12, and Troy's kind of on their heels.
Yeah, and then they end up with the ball at the 8-yard line on their, I think they traded punts and ended up with the ball on their own 8-yard line in the fourth quarter. And talk about a drive. I mean, they converted a couple. I think there was a penalty on one, so they had it like 2nd and 20.
Yeah.
And they ended up converting on 4th and short, and just an incredible drive. A lot of heart from those kids.
And then Gilliland finishes that off with a 28-yard touchdown run. That was his second rushing touchdown of the day, 3 overall there. They go for 2 again. So they go for 2. They don't get that one either. So all of a sudden it's 18-16. But then Jace Ferguson comes right back in less than 2 minutes, 11-yard run. He completes a 2-pointer to Cohen Kemmer. So it's 24-18. And then that's 6:37. That's so 24-18 with 6:37 left. And, but I said on the radio, it was set up perfectly for Troy to have one of their clock, eating drives. You have the 2-minute drill, the 4-minute drill, kind of when you're coaching. You practice that a lot. I'm not sure if you have a 6:37-minute drill, but obviously they ate up a lot of. I mean, that was a heck of a drive there. And the Troy's Logan Hill was on the morning show here on Troy's 102 earlier this week and said that halfback pass that they tried to run late has kind of been a staple of the Troy offense. Some years it was kind of the only passing they did, right?
Absolutely.
So they try the halfback pass to Mason Smith. He comes around the right edge, and he sees nobody's there. And most kids would panic, and just heave it out of bounds, heave it in the end zone into double, triple coverage. He's smart, was smart enough to go the other coach. Yeah, Jimmy Smith's son goes all the way to the other side. Evan Woodward, an incredible block there, and then Smith leaps the guy into the end zone. Just that's a play they're going to be talking about for a long, long time. And then how about Gavin Leffler? So now you're tied up 24-all with 1:15 to go. You're the kicker. I'm just trying to picture what is in his head.
Well, you've missed one.
You missed one, and then they didn't go back to you.
So
they go back to you, and he nails it right down the middle. That's got to be that's a moment he'll remember forever.
Any golfer, I equate extra points to 5-foot birdie putts. Should be gimmies, but they're not.
Yeah, ask Rory McIlroy there.
Yeah, exactly.
Championship matches there. But yeah, Leffler nails it. That celebration.
But it wasn't over.
No. And then they kick off, and Jace Ferguson, all-state quarterback. I've heard he's not getting a ton of big time D1 looks, but getting some D2, D3 looks, and what an athlete he is, and he returns it. It was across midfield, basically, right? So, and I was having flashbacks of the Section 4 championship game when Waverly took the lead late and then gives up a 60-yard return, and they end up losing. Central Clarion got to have a good coach, right? They're undefeated going to that game. I'm going to question them here. You drive a little bit. So you get the kick return, second down play. You go deep towards the end zone. When you only needed, they had no timeouts left. I think, they had 3 timeouts left. So they used one. They had a couple in their pocket. They go deep on second down. Then after that first down play, though, was before the second down play. But first down play, they let 30 seconds run off the clock between their first play and second play, and I was going crazy in the booth. What are we doing? What are they doing?
Yeah,
it was good for Troy, but
and clock management is, and sometimes I think, coaches get. The fact that they've got 3 timeouts in their pocket kind of lulls them a little bit into a false sense that we've got plenty of time, even, and they let that time run off instead of burning the timeout. I think they value their timeouts too much sometimes.
But the second down play, they go deep, and it was, I get it. Jace Ferguson, they're throwing up to Ethan Rex, I think it was. Give him a shot. It was double covered, though. Didn't work, but you only need probably 5 or 7 more yards to give your kicker, all-state kicker, Ukert, a realistic chance at a field goal to win it. But anyway, that doesn't work.
But you've got plenty of time to play the middle of the field and get 10 or 12 yards or 15 yards and make it a real easy field goal attempt.
Yeah, and then the next play after they go deep there on second down. This is after they did get a fresh set of downs on a big 4th down play after it looked like Troy had him stopped there, and then Ferguson found Burford, one of their best receivers, for 17 yards on a new set of downs at the Troy 33, which kind of got them in semi field goal range, and then they went for the 2 plays and going deep there on second down. But then Easton Terraberry gets into the backfield and forces a high pass from Ferguson. That sets up the couple seconds left on the clock and a decision time for the Central Clarion coach, and they send out Ukert for who was 61-61 on extra points, 4-4 on field goals, but along a 40 coming into the game. So,
but he missed an extra point too early
in that game. Yeah. So, 50-yarder, freezing cold temperatures, the wind's going crazy, the crowd. Biggest kick of his life, and I thought Troy was going to take a timeout. Did you think that?
To be honest with you, when they came out of the timeout, I wasn't sure. I still wasn't sure exactly what they were going to do, and I think it played out the way it should have been. I think if you give him a little more time to think about it, in those conditions, he might have been better off. But I think them having to just go out and kick it worked against him in that situation.
And so Cody White and I were up in the press box and watching, and Evan Woodward was the quarterback, and defensive back was down by the goalpost. So we were kind of watching him, and he started singling no good on the kick, because when that went off his foot, it was a line drive, but that's almost what you had to do in the wind and to get it there from 50 yards out. It looked pretty good to coming off his foot, and we were nervous. I think the whole Troy crowd was holding their breath, but then Evan Woodward signals no good, and the crowd went crazy.
Yeah, in those conditions, that's a Division I kick.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure he's going to go kick somewhere in college. He's a really good kicker, and he might tell you he could make that, 5 times out of 10. But that one, we thought it was head to leg from our angle, but it turns out looks like a yard or so short, and maybe 2 yards left. And so it was close, but thankfully the Trojans got to celebrate, because it was no good. So 25-24 win. Talk about, that Troy team been together forever. This is the one year they were looking at kind of on the schedule, or on when they were looking ahead. Southern Columbia was in the way the last few years, and
it makes you wonder what they could have done last year if they had gotten into the.
I think they were the second best team in the state probably last year.
I do too.
So I've heard some people talk about maybe last year's Troy team might have been a little more talented than this year's, but circumstances lined up, and obviously Southern down a little bit, but still a really good team.
Yep.
But Troy, just an incredible run for them. Coach Jimmy Smith and his crew been together a long time.
Great job over there.
Like I said, Evan Woodward, not a huge game passing, 1 of 5, a touchdown there. He did run for 62 yards, but if there's somebody that manages, an offense better than him, I don't know. I don't know I've seen it in high school football here.
I think completing that touchdown pass obviously was one of the biggest plays of the game, and it wasn't an easy throw either, on 4th down. But I think that, they threw the ball just enough to keep doubt in Central Clarion's head, and they just were dominant, opening holes. And those running backs are, they find creases, they get the extra yard or two by putting their head down. It's just and their line is big and talented. Just a great football team.
Absolutely. Shout out to the defense too on Troy. JB Burbage had a big game. We mentioned Easton Terraberry.
Gilliland had a big game.
Gilliland coming around the edge there. Just an all-around great performance. Just to show you the grit of that town and the whole NTL and Troy. It's been fun to watch the reaction leading up to that game. The NTL was behind them, kind of like Canton a few years ago. And man, that crowd was huge. They showed the stats after. The AA game had the biggest crowd of any game of the 6. Central Clarion had a good crowd. It looked smaller maybe because it was on the bigger side of the field there, the bigger side of the stadium. But yeah, shout out to the Trojans, your 2024 Class AA PIAA state champions. We will have Jimmy Smith, the head coach, on next week here on Two Guys Talking Sports. So looking forward. We'll talk more about their big win with Coach Smith next week here on the podcast. Let's move on. Winter season's underway. It's just like last couple years in the Valley side with the New York teams, where they're pushing across from the fall season deep into the winter season, it seems like. But wrestling, basketball. Let's start with wrestling. Jarvis tournament down in Athens. Athens, nice showing there.
Yeah, dominant performance by Caleb Nason, Connor Davidson, Zane Campbell, the guys you'd expect. I think Nason had 5 first-period pins on his way to his title. Davidson and Campbell both coming off. If Zane Campbell stays healthy, he's going to make some waves this year. Same with all 3 of them, I think. If they stay healthy, they're all going to make waves this year.
Yeah, Campbell, he's had the injury bug a little bit last year, unfortunately. But yeah, he's a kid that wrestles all year, right? He's at the United Training Facility down with Dave Patrick. I think he does some jiu-jitsu with over here with Rossi.
Yeah, and I think
Wolfpack there.
Jordan Brown, 3rd for Sarah. That can't be overstated because he's in, there's only a handful of kids in that program, so it's not like he's getting a lot of reps in the weight room or in the wrestling room.
Yeah, Brown 3rd at 172, so he's up Athens had a couple of nice finishes there. When you look at Brendan Cook, 4th place, Sipley a 5th place finish. So those are it's going to be a pretty full lineup.
Second overall.
Yeah,
I think they had there's one and maybe 2 weight classes they're going to be lacking most of the season. But it's duels are not a big priority for that coaching staff, and I think you see the success they've had at Hershey in the individual tournaments over the years. They're doing things the right way.
Towanda, probably the team to beat in the NTL. They're wrestling. They open up with a 44-22 win over Horseheads. Nice to see those two teams getting together here for a non-league match.
Full lineups, JV matches. It's a good night of wrestling.
Interesting there. Higley right now at 285.
I saw that.
Working his way down, I think. The goal for him is to get the 215, and Sawyer Robinson, state medalist at 285, will go back up. Maybe they'll stay where they are. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, I mean that's a full lineup that's pretty impressive. They're and then Warrior Run just found out. I was planning on going to Towanda at Warrior Run on January 14th to call it on the radio. But then Warrior Run, I guess, is missing. They had 3-4 kids not come out that are pretty good. So they were ranked 4th in the state in the team standings rankings, but not going to be any more. They lost by 20-some to Line Mountain, I believe, and had to forfeit 4 or 5. So
that makes that changes things a little bit in District 4.
But a big one is next week, and I think I'm going to be there. It's going to be Towanda is hosting Montoursville on Wednesday, so I'll have that call on the radio here on 95.3 The Bridge. And Montoursville's ranked 3rd or 4th in the state, so that's maybe the 2 teams going at it, district duels down the line there. And I think Dave Kennedy's from Athens. His kid is senior year. Another kid that seems like he's been there for 10 years, but he's back from Montoursville.
Hasn't had the same success his father did, but he's had a really nice career.
Yeah, made it states last couple of years, I think, and So looking forward to that. So Wednesday, Towanda hosting Montoursville should be a good one. New York side of things kind of just getting rolling.
Yeah, Waverly went up to the Stevens Classic at Horseheads. They were 5-2, finished 4th via tiebreaker, beat a couple state-ranked teams, moved up to number 9 in the state in small schools. Horseheads won. The funny thing is that Horseheads was 6-1, won the first place by tiebreaker because Middletown beat them. Waverly beat Middletown.
Oh, wow.
So, it was a really good, evenly matched tournament.
Middletown's a good program. That's a buddy of mine, Jason Lichtenstein.
Yep.
Brings those guys all over I used to see him up in Maine when I was up there at a camp. And
Waverly were wrestling without Matthias Wells, ranked number 1 in the state at 215. And I believe they were without a 101-pounder. So they gave up 12 points in that match to Horseheads. And I think come January, when the weight bumps up to 104, they'll have somebody at 101.
Tioga just getting rolling. I know they had one match so far.
Yeah, a match last night.
Yeah,
three bouts in the match because they were wrestling Groton. Interesting mix in Tioga this year. They're going to have a bunch of 8th and 9th graders mixed in with a bunch of juniors and a couple seniors. They're going to be very respectable. Wouldn't shock me a bit with the 4 studs they've got. You're looking at probably 4 section champions. It wouldn't shock me a bit to see them win another section title, the way team points go in those. But I think duels is going to be interesting. I think Unadilla Valley's loaded. Newark Valley could be interesting. They've got 5 or 6 juniors and seniors with a couple young kids packed in with them. And Waverly could be a factor too, especially when they get Wells back. And so district or section 4 duel is going to be a little more interesting in the last few years when it's been who was fighting for second.
Yeah, should be fun to watch. Go to basketball. We'll start on the girls' side here in the Northern Tier League. Sarah girls, congrats to them. First win and over a year, right?
29 in a row they had lost.
So they get a win over Sullivan County at home. So the crowd got to enjoy that one.
Got a junior point guard who transferred in from Elmira, Liz Hunter. She helped them a lot. Abby McGahee, Riley Lance both had big games. They've only got 7 girls. And a couple of them have never played before. So, I'm not sure how many they got another game or 2 that they should win. Hard to say you're a favorite when you just broke a 29-game win streak, but I think when they play Galton, they were probably looking at another real good chance to win. After that, they're gonna have to play well.
Yeah. Athens girls, new coaches down there, Kelly Allen.
Well, new old coach.
Yeah, new old, yeah. Former coach Kelly Burkhart Allen, and then Bob Favre, her assistant, this year back. And I got to see him a little bit against Johnson City. I stopped over there. They held their own for a while there. Johnson City just too athletic, I think, for him, and had that big girl on the inside that kind of dominated. But they get a win over Notre Dame.
And I was there for that. And, Addie Wheeler, she looks like she's playing, to me, the knock on her, great, tremendous athlete, great kid. The knock on her has been she's always been too unselfish. She seemed to play the other night against Notre Dame with a little more sense of urgency and took a couple shots that in the past I'm not sure she would have. Sarah Bronson, her senior year, did some nice things for him. McKenna Jarvis, only a sophomore, coming back off a wrist injury. Looked pretty good. She got down in the low post, made a couple real nice moves on Notre Dame's big girl for buckets. But I'll tell you the one that really caught my eye was the freshman, Allie Kemp. Really good handle on the ball. Did some things that kind of made me look twice, with the ball handling. Played nice defense. Alyssa Vo, the cross-country runner there, is playing basketball too. And she had some moments. So they've got, two freshmen and a sophomore to go with those seniors. They're a little better than I thought they were going to be this year, I think. And I was impressed.
I think the NTL is open a little bit, other than Troy. I think Troy girls are the heavy favorites in that. But I think, we'll see what the new coaches and some more experienced players now after, playing the last couple of years. Should be interesting to see. And, like I said, you bring the two new coaches, new old coaches that have a lot of great offensive, plays in their back pocket. And same thing, numbers are down, so they're going to have to work. I think they have 12, 13 total.
And they also lost, the sophomore had a season-ending injury in the soccer season. And name escapes me right this moment. It'll pop into my head later. But anyway, so they've started a little behind the eight ball as it is.
So, yeah, should be interesting in the NTL. I got a couple games on my broadcast schedule. I think Athens-Towanda, Athens-Wyalusing, and we'll have the Valley Christmas Tournament, all those games too, right here on Choice 102. So, Waverly girls, starting off, they're
3-0.
They beat up Seton Catholic pretty bad.
They're down. They're quite down. They beat up Corning, who's not what they were 3 or 4 years ago. Take nothing away from Waverly. They're deep. They're athletic. They're going to be able to score. Really, I think the division title comes down to them and Shenango Forks. In the stack, though, you better play well or you're going to be in a tight game. But Maggie Warpus at Shenango Forks is an all-state player. She and the Blue Devils beat up on Owego the other night. And I saw Owego play Elmira, and they lost by 7, I believe it was. And Owego looks good. They're not very big, but they are athletic. Maddie McAvoy and Ashlyn Dalton and Jenna McAvoy. They've got some athletes, and they're going to give people fits. But Shenango Forks beat them by 25-30. So I think Waverly Shenango Forks probably the game of the year when it comes to the Central Division in the stack.
Let's switch over to the boys basketball. Let's start in New York State. Has Waverly started yet?
They play. Well, actually, we're taping on Thursday, and they play Seton Catholic tonight for their first game.
Okay, that's a tough one to start.
You aren't kidding.
It was going to be a tough one to start before Xavier Watson committed and decided to go to UConn early, and you lose Colson Keithley to an injury in the last football game. But yeah, even tougher now. But it'll be interesting to see what Coach Judson does up there. Obviously, with the injury to, like I said, Keithley, Watson going. Some new players coming in.
They're athletic. Waverly's got athletes. They just don't have a lot of varsity experience and a lot of, other than Hogan Shaw, any proven scoring on the varsity level. So, Coach Judson's going to have to really coach.
I think Ben Shaw is going to be a leader on that team.
He's a gym rat. He's a coach's kid. He's a good point guard, streaky shooter. When he's on, he's on. But when he's off, it's a different story, But, he can score. They've got other
Fletcher
kids.
Fletcher Goods basketball.
He's a hard-nosed kid who can get to the bucket. Didn't see a ton of him at Kawanisky Valley, but saw enough of him. Then they've got Carson Rockwell, big kid who can really shoot for his size. Problem there is he's a big boy, so he's gonna get.
I'm sure teams are gonna press or try to get him running. So
and the thing with him is he's gonna catch teams by off guard when he goes out to the top of the key. He can stroke that shot. So
I gotta say, his Carson's dad put a thing out on Facebook. It's screen setting season. It was just videos of him last year setting screens on kids. They're just getting destroyed. It was right. So obviously, if you can go pick and roll with him, you're gonna be in pretty good shape.
They got kids like Porter Dodano, who's about 6'2", 6'3", athletic, long.
Their JV team's been good.
Score. So. Yeah, they were 19-1, won the stack championship last year. They got Bryce LaForest, who can score. So they're going to be okay, but starting out against Seton Catholic is going to be tough, and in that division, it's going to be tough. There's some good basketball up there.
Owego boys, how they look? Are they 1-1 heading into tonight's? We're taping on Thursday. They're
Horseheads lost to Elmira.
Both 12-point games, right?
Yes.
So they beat Horses by 12, lose Elmira by 12. Elmira is really good, it looks like. They went on the road, or they went and beat up Johnson City by 60, I think. But yeah, we're going to have some of their games on our WBO, our station out in Owego. Always well coached.
Yes, Chris Evans, a really good coach. They've got some good guard play, quickness, a couple big kids down in the post. They've it's one of those deals where they've been really good the last several years, and they've graduated a lot of really good players. So some of these kids are really good athletes and just haven't had the same kind of court time because they've been playing behind better players or older players. Yeah. So now we'll see how when they get their chance to shine.
They got a good group of athletes right now in Owego, so they know how to win games. Obviously, football, baseball now, and basketball too. NTL side of things and the boys. Athens impressive. I mean, Williamson's down. They're not great, but Athens scoring 80 points because that's been the worry. I know you talked to Coach Lister for your preview, and he was worried about scoring, right? So Adam Kemp, 28 points, career high. You're talking about his sister. I know both of those kids have been going in the off season at 6 a.m. to the Athens gym with Coach Favre working on shooting and everything else. So
and they're not going to score 85 a game. But they're going to play defense. So if they can score 60 a game, they're going to win a lot of basketball games.
I think they're going to be better than people expect, myself included. Maybe I wasn't
into
sure.
That list. So
I watched them scrimmage Horseheads, who's not great, I don't think, but they held their own with them. And I think you got athletes, just got to turn them into real basketball players. And like Coach Lister said in your preview on valleysportsreport.com, play as a team, you'll be all right. And when you add Nick Grazel, like I said, Kemp, Jace Babcock's maybe have a breakout year for him. Lucas Schultz, a sophomore, I think is going to be a really good player for him.
Yeah, and Grazel, Nick Grazel, I like him. He's not real big, but he uses his body to get to the bucket. Coach Lister said he's worked on his outside shot, and he plays hard. I mean, he's always got his nose down and playing hard. So I think that's as much as team play is, effort is going to be a thing for them too. If they continue to play hard, they're going to win a few more games than people think.
And it's kind of in the NTL large school. It's kind of like football. Troy's a step or two above everybody in that league.
Catch them early though; they're on football shape right now.
Yeah, you should be trying to schedule them right now. Yeah. But I think between Athens and Towanda, maybe, and you never know about those other bigger schools over there. Seems like they should be down, and they always come up with some good players. So Mansfield, Wellsboro.
Yeah, we'll get an indication tonight. I think Sarah's at Wellsboro, so we'll get an indication of how good Wellsboro is going to be this year.
Athens at Liberty tonight too, as we tape this. Talk about Sarah. We were both at the game the other night. Sarah loses to Towanda 46-42. Probably couldn't have played worse.
No. There's no way.
Still in the game.
No way they should have won that game, and they didn't.
Yeah.
They were in position with a minute left.
Yeah, they're down by 3.
To win a game where they, their stats say they shot 30% and had 19 turnovers, but I'm telling you, if they shot 20%, they turned the ball over at least 30 times.
Yeah.
And they were still in position with a minute left to win the game, which says something. It wasn't for lack of effort. I told the AD at one point, because neither team shot well, and they were all from point blank range. I told him he needed to have his rims tested to make sure they're the right, because neither team can make a a point blank putback.
Yeah, and you shoot 4 of 13, I think, from the foul line. That's killer, especially some of your good shooters.
Well, they were 7 of 20 the game before that from the line.
So they got to clean that up, obviously, and they have good shooters that are missing some there too. So I think they'll be okay. Obviously, small school, they're still the favorite in my eyes to win that.
The funny thing about this is I watched that game, and last year they were young. Pelicano, best player on the team. And sometimes last year he kind of took the game over and had to score. And I thought the other night that they didn't play through him enough. So I think right now, because there's some athletes on that team. There's some good size. Trump and Wrestler both play well in the post and stuff. But I just thought at times that Pelicano didn't touch the ball enough.
Absolutely, yeah, I thought that too. I think I said it on the radio on Choice 102. I think Tawanda boys, shout out to Coach Henry. His teams always play hard. I think they're going to be much improved this year. Boom Thompson.
I was impressed with
freshman.
the freshman. Yeah.
I don't think did he leave the floor? I don't
know. And he made some big free throws down the stretch.
I talked about, yeah, it had to be tired, but.
And he's not very big.
No.
So.
But, best name in the league probably. He's already up for that award.
I agree with that 100%.
Farrell, Darius Farrell.
Made some big shots, hit a big 3 in the corner.
Yeah, so he's going to be, I think they're going to be pretty good. I think that Athens-Tawana game could be interesting.
Yeah, and I think Sarah and Athens at the Christmas tournament.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting.
Well, Waverly Athens night 1, right?
Yeah, so we'll see. Yeah, it's going to be interesting.
I think that'll be a good game.
So it's Tioga Sarah night 1, Waverly Athens night 1. So it's a weird setup this year. It's the 26th, the day after Christmas they start playing. It's a Thursday, Friday, Saturday that they're going. We'll have it all on Choice 102. I'll have the call. It'll be a busy weekend for me there, but it should be fun this year in NTL. Boys basketball always is in the Valley Christmas Tournament. Always fun. I will put out a request to Sayre High School right now. It was warm in there the other night in Valley Christmas Tournament. It's always warm in the Christmas Tournament because you got 2,000, 2,500 people, whatever gym they're in.
Right.
Let's throw the AC on. I know it's off for the year probably, but let's throw that on.
Open the windows up top.
That's right. Should be fun. Valley Christmas Tournament coming up here in a couple weeks. Before we go, one thing I want to mention, congrats to Horseheads senior Lucas Mosier. He's your 2024 Ernie Davis Award winner. Always a prestigious award up there in the Elmira area.
Yeah, and our condolences to the Shaw family.
Absolutely,
passing of Tim Shaw. Next week, hoping to have Jimmy Shaw on and one of his brothers, maybe Mike or Kevin.
Yeah.
So.
We'll try to get and have a kind of a tribute to Timmy Shaw next week. Just a great guy all around. You see the outpouring of support on Facebook for him. Everybody that met Tim loved him, I think. And whether you knew him through the, reffing, he reffed from little kids to, state finals.
That was the thing for me. It was, he was always there for the recreation department to officiate any sport they wanted him to.
Yeah, like I said, he was youth sports. So I think he got to umpire a state final baseball game there a couple years ago. So the donkey basketball, a lot of older folks like us will remember the Shaw donkey basketball games at all the schools. But I don't know if you could meet a more genuine and likable guy than Timmy Shaw. So our condolences, thoughts and prayers out to the entire Shaw family and the Sayre community. That's a big loss.
Yes,
so it's going to do it for us here on episode 28 of Two Guys Talking Sports. Do want to thank our sponsor, J. Lister LLC and Lenders Assistance. Give Jim Lister a call, 607-857-2036. Email him at jim.lister@yahoo.com. Let his 30 years in the automobile industry work for you. Like we said, next week we'll have Troy football coach Jimmy Smith on, and also hoping to get a hold of some of the Shaw boys and talk about Timmy a little bit. So that will be next week here. We'll talk to you on Two Guys Talking Sports.